Hi crafters, today we are going to make a house using cardboard and paper mache. When it's finished, this raised design will look like a wall frame you can hang as decoration. For this project, I was inspired by two types of houses. The first comes from the French Alps where I grew up, and the second is the half-timbered houses of Normandy, which I love. This project will take about 4 hours, so I recommend working on it over a few days. Now let's go over the materials you will need. For the base, you will need a sturdy, long plank of cardboard to build your design on. To create the houses, gather a few small boxes. Don't worry if yours look different from mine, you will still be able to craft something unique and beautiful. If you don't have any boxes on hand, you can easily build them yourself. You will also need craft paper, cereal boxes, and thin blister plastic. Have a pair of heavy-duty scissors and a box cutter ready for cutting, along with school glue, a glue gun, and a brush to spread the glue. For painting, use both small and large paint brushes as well as a paint knife. The colors used in this project are brown, green, blue, white, black, and copper. To add a delicate and natural touch to your creation, gather some dried flowers for decoration. Additionally, you will need some paper mache, which you can make yourself by checking out my video on how to make paper mache. Now you are all set to craft, follow the steps in the video, take your time and enjoy the creative process. I can't wait to see what you create. The first step is to set up the base for our project. Start by arranging some boxes on a large cardboard plank and gluing them down securely. Next, trace the windows on each box and carefully cut them out using a box cutter. Now, cover the entire structure with craft paper. This step is important because it makes your project stronger and helps keep the houses attached to the background even if the hot glue wears out over time. It also hides any prints or patterns on the boxes and creates a smooth surface for painting. Take your time to apply the craft paper neatly, making sure no air bubbles form. You can use a glue applicator to press it down, or if you don't have one, a piece of cardboard works too. When covering the edges, cut small slits in the craft paper so it folds neatly, like wrapping a box. Don't forget to cut out the paper covering the windows and use thin strips of craft paper to cover the window edges for a clean finish. Once your entire design is covered, it's time to create the roofs. Cut 3 long rectangles from corrugated cardboard and fold them in half. Glue the back edge of each roof to your frame, then cover them with craft paper. At this point, your house should look smooth and unified. Paint the facade white and the roofs brown. Take a cereal box, paint one panel brown and set it aside to dry. Once it is dry, cut long, thin strips from it. Arrange and glue these strips onto the house facade to create a half-timber design. In France, we call this style colombage. This design dates back to the Viking invasions of the 10th century and was later influenced by Anglo-Norman architecture after the Norman conquest of 1066. During the Middle Ages, builders constructed wooden frames first, then filled the spaces between with brick or plaster. In Normandy, oak wood was plentiful, making timber framing a practical and durable choice. Clay was also widely available and was used to make plaster and bricks. Today, traditional Norman houses can still be found in the countryside, mostly as farmhouses and manors. If you ever visit Honfleur, you will see many stunning examples of this historic style. Next, let's craft the tower. Take a toilet paper roll and cut it in half so that it can lay flat against the house facade. For the tower roof, cut thin strips of cardboard from a cereal box, arrange them so they all meet at a central point, forming a cone shape, and glue them together. Cover the roof with craft paper for a smooth finish. Halfway through creating my design, I changed my mind and decided to extend the middle roof to add more depth to the house. As you watch this video, you might notice other changes as well, which just showcase how easy it is to remodel a design when working with cardboard. That's what I love about this medium. You can shape and reshape it anytime using my method, which relies on craft paper to seamlessly blend any new additions. To craft a wooden hood for some of your windows, cut a small rectangle from a cereal box and wrap it in craft paper. Then simply glue it above the window where it belongs. For the tower that will be attached to one side of the house, start by cutting a small rectangle from a cereal box. Then cut a longer rectangle, bend it, and glue it on top of the first piece to create depth. Attach this structure to a larger piece of cardboard and trim off any excess. Repeat the same process to cover the other end of the shape, then wrap the entire tower in craft paper. Now, glue the tower to the side of your house. For the roof, cut 2 small triangles for the sides and a long rectangle for the top. Assemble them into a simple pitched roof and cover it with craft paper for a seamless look. To add more charm, I also created a small planter box at the bottom of my design by making a rectangular box from cardboard. To add texture to the base of the house, roll small balls of paper mache and apply them to the bottom and one side of the house to create a stone effect. For the tower, use even smaller paper mache balls to cover its entire body, giving it the look of an old, rustic stone structure. Next, create bushes by rolling small balls of craft paper and gluing them along the bottom of the house. Make about 3 rows for a fuller effect, then cut small squares of craft paper and glue them under the bushes to represent rocks. To make a waterfall, shape paper mache into a flowing form between the bushes and rocks. Use a glue applicator to trace fine lines into the wet paper mache, creating the illusion of moving water. For the windows, cut pieces of blister plastic to match their size and glue them on top. This will make them look more realistic, like glass panes. Add wooden frames to your windows by cutting small strips of cardstock painted in brown and gluing them on top. For a fun touch, I created some AI-generated Tyrolean characters to place in the windows. They add a bit of folklore to my house, and I wouldn't have been able to create them myself. If you like, you can create your own characters. I use Deep AI, which is free and works pretty well. Another idea is to cut small pieces of fabric and glue them inside the windows to make cute little curtains. Now, let's add some roof decorations. Cut triangles the size of your roof, but only keep the edges. These will serve as a decorative trim for the roof. paint them brown and set them aside. Use the remaining triangle pieces for the inside of the roof. First, paint them white as a base coat, then cut them into small rectangles and arrange them inside the roof to mimic wooden planks. Once the pieces are glued in place, paint them brown to give them a natural wooden appearance. Finally, add some touches of copper paint to both the roof and the inside planks to enhance the texture and create a warm, aged look. Now, it's time to make the roof tiles. If you still have some brown painted cardboard, use that or paint a new piece. Cut small rectangles from it and begin gluing them onto the roof. I recommend using a hot glue gun for the bottom and top tiles to secure them firmly, while the middle tiles can be attached with cool glue so you can reposition them if needed. Finally, cut a long strip from the brown painted cereal box, bend it in half and glue it along the top of each roof. This will bind the tiles together and give the roof a more realistic look. The roof design is inspired by the steep wooden roofs found in Alpine regions, just like those in the French Alps where I grew up. These roofs, traditionally covered in wooden shingles or slates, were designed to prevent snow from accumulating. They extend far beyond the walls, offering protection from rain and snow. Nowadays, they are often made of metal as it makes water runoff easier. The ground floor of these houses is typically built with stone, which helps with insulation and protects against moisture. It's also common for these homes to have beautifully carved wooden balconies and shutters. I didn't include these details in this project to keep the design simple, but I'll be making another house in a future video that features them. The carvings often include Edelweiss flowers, hearts, or geometric patterns, giving these houses their charming traditional look. They are built to blend naturally into the mountain landscape, which I think is absolutely beautiful. Now it's time to paint. Use dark grey mixed with black to paint the rocks, giving them depth. For the rocks on the house and tower, use a lighter shade of grey to create contrast. You can also add a touch of silver paint to make these stones look even more realistic. Paint the bushes green to bring the landscape to life. Don't hesitate to mix in a bit of black and white paint with your green to create varied shades. Paint the waterfall in blue, then add small touches of white paint to create the effect of foamy, moving water. Use the remaining blue paint to color the sky, blending it softly for a natural look. Ornaments are abundant in this style of house. I'm adding one to the roof now for extra charm, which I'll be painting white. You may also notice that I have added decorations to the front of the roof, a triangle at the top and long thin panels along each side of the slope to make it stand out even more. Have fun and play around with your design. That's the best way to make the most of the cardboard crafting experience. For the background, draw directly on the cardboard base that supports your raised design. If you're unsure, you can practice first on a separate sheet or lightly sketch with charcoal pencil before painting. In my design, I painted mountains using gray shades, applying different tones for depth and texture with brushes and paint knives. I also used green and brown paint to create a grassy area closer to the house and dark gray for the rocky base. Feel free to design your background however you like. To make slate tiles for the tower roof, cut wave-shaped strips from cereal boxes that have already been painted brown. Glue them onto the roof, layering them for a realistic shingled effect. Finish the top with a small triangle to complete the roof. For the planter, cut a piece of styrofoam to fit inside, then paint it green to simulate a flower bed. Using small scissors, poke holes into the styrofoam and insert tiny flowers to bring it to life. To add more charm, glue a few dried flowers among the bushes and rocks for a natural, delicate touch. For the final detail, apply glue along the bottom edges of the house and sprinkle small grains of lavender and dried flowers to create an organic texture. And that's it, our project is complete. I hope you had fun crafting along with me. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up to support the channel. In upcoming videos, we will be making castles, princess carousels, witch houses, fairy houses, and more magical designs. Happy crafting! See you in the next video.